Welcome everyone. Just a short introduction. I'm Aaron. I'm from DK Outsource. I'm working as a quantity surveyor as well as a software trainer. I have trained various companies, users for Bluebeam Revu in the AEC industry. Now, just a short intro of what Bluebeam Revu is. Alright, so to put it simply, it's a PDF software, but it is a very specific software which is relevant to you if you are coming from the AEC industry, even in oil and gas industry as well. Right, it is the preferred and by all means the market leader in this industry. Okay, testing, 1, 2, 3. Right, hello everyone, welcome back. Right, in today's video, we will be covering on markups. Right, so if you have been following our previous videos, we have been sharing on how do you collaborate and work from anywhere using the studio sessions and studio projects. So today we're going to go a bit deeper into the base, the key feature, right, that forms the base of Bluebeam Revu's features, right, which is called markups. Alright, so the term markups can mean different things to different people, right, depending on what kind of job scope you are working as. For example, if you are a quantity surveyor, alright, so if you take a look at my screen, for a quantity surveyor, a markup to you can be just a simple measurement on your PDF, alright. If you are a designer, if you are an engineer, alright, a markup can actually mean a symbol, a valve symbol, right? Something like this. Or it can also mean certain issues. So, like for example, if you look on my left hand side here, I have some ceiling issues which I can place here. Another issue here, place here at this item, right? So the essential thing is that markups are anything that you place on a PDF, right? So what does Bluebeam Revu have so much different in terms of markups? Now, I suppose we are all very used to using very standard markups. So when I say very standard markups, any solution from the net you can even download for free even will just give you a basic color scheme of red with little to nothing customization. Alright, that is very normal, and unfortunately that is what we have been very used to doing. Alright, so here I'm going to introduce to you a few different features that Bluebeam has that will really change the way that you think and use markups. Right, so the first things first we want to cover is the item on our left. Right, the one on the left, right, this is called the tool chest. Alright, so a tool chest is essentially a library of markups that you save. Right, you can save it as a tool. So for example, if you are a quantity surveyor, alright, I can save different tool sets, alright, different tools, okay, that cover different types of finishes, right? Someone doing architectural measurements can have flooring tool sets. Someone doing structural can have slabs. Someone doing MAE can do electrical piping. Right, there's so many different kinds. Right, it's dependent on how you name it. It's dependent on how you color it. Right, the real strength of this is that for us, which we are so used to pen and paper, right? So the downsides of using pen and paper is that there is no communication, there is no accountability, right? So if you are a quantity surveyor and you use the library over here, this library can be exported out, right? Can be exported and shared, right? So the bigger your team, the better. So when you export this to external teams, internal teams, everyone can be on the same page. Everybody will be on the same naming convention. Everyone will be on the same color code, right? So it becomes very clear when you eventually report this to your superiors, when you send this out to external consultants, it makes it very clear, right? So what if you are doing it on a design review, right? So now in this particular season, we are being forced to do many of our workflows remotely, right? But the show has to go on, the work has to go on, right? So when you do design review, we commonly what we can do sometimes is that we have screen sharing devices, right? Sometimes even if we do not do screen sharing, we do our comments on our markups one by one. Person A finishes the commenting, sends it to person B via email. The finishes the commenting, sends it to person C. Right. The process has nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong. Right. But the issue is that it takes time. Alright, you have to wait for one person to finish, pass it on to the next. There is no collaboration at all. And if person B has something to say about person A, right, the whole process has to repeat again or is just stopped in its tracks. Right, we'll talk about real-time collaboration later, right? But the whole point about having two chairs in the picture is that again you can have different sets of color coding. So if you are a architect, you can assign a particular color and say, hey, I'm using the cyan color. That goes to show that is the architect that's doing the review, right? So for example, the architect can just zoom in to the drawing, pick on this item, and just say, is this done? Right? And vice versa, the contractor, the consultant, the supplier, the owner, they can have their own tool set, their own customized tool set, their own color, right? So now all these things. So let's move on. If you are an engineer, right, or you have a project manager, when you walk through the site, right, you need to take down certain notes. So as I shown earlier, right, in the case of items such as defect, right, when we walk through the site, you usually have to take down a lot of notes, right? You have to take photos, you have to take down a lot of different details. Many of these are still being done on pen and paper, and eventually when you finish the whole site walk, if it's a very large site, right, you have to take down many notes, right, and take many pictures. And when you finish all this, when you go back to your office, you have to generate a defects checklist. You have to generate a minutes of meeting. You have to generate a summary report. Right, all these things require you to check back what you have done, and you have to redo most of the things. You have to convert your handwriting into soft copy. So much work there, right? So if you take a look at one of the tool sets that I have over here on my left, right, this is a tool set that is called the ceiling issues. So what I have done is that I have saved my commonly used defects. Alright, so for example, these are some very common comments that I will make when I perform a defects check on ceiling. Right, so I have things like remove plastic, I have tighten downlight, I have clean ceiling grid. These are very common comments. All these things can be customized according to your scope of work, right? Whether you're doing defects for carpentry, defects for structural works, defects for anything really, right? You can just create these and customize all these things, and you place it wherever you go. Alright, for those who have followed us on the studio projects and studio session videos, you will know that you can even load these two sets onto your review on iPad app. Right, that will make it much easier for you as you walk around the site holding your iPad, walking through, and even taking photos. Right, so you can even take photos. So let's say for example I have a ceiling grid to clear for this room, right, and I have certain photos I want to actually place it in. Alright, if I'm using the app directly, alright, on my iPad, I can actually use from camera. If not, I can actually load in from a local file. Alright, so a local file, I can load in different items such as images. Okay, so I can load a series of images. If you're on your iPad app, you can even load in videos. Right, and if you have a 360-degree camera, yes, you can load in your 360-degree photos as well, so on and so forth. Right, you have all the different photos, and you take a look, it does not take up space on your PDF, right, which is a real big help, right, because you always have the dilemma of, do I place more photos? If I place more photos, I have more information, but I'm clogging up the drawing space, right? People can't see what's underneath. But with this capture function, you're able to store multiple photos, multiple videos, all into one markup, right? And that's not all. The markups are all so-called tagged to the location, because when you import this, when you export this into a report, it will show that it is under the mobile booster room, right? So many advantages there, right? So enough of all those things. I mentioned earlier that you can even customize for those in the oil and gas industry. You can even customize the commonly used valves, right? You can even set up. Some of our clients actually make use of the item below, so which I will show you now. Now, the next item is called the markups list, which you see below here, right? So, a simple way to explain markups list is that it's a list that stores everything that you do on a PDF. When I say everything, it really means everything. So even if you have accidentally placed a pen mark, so if you see I just placed one pen mark there, a little red dot there, right? It is shown very clearly over here, right? So it gives you complete control over what is done on any PDF. You will not miss out on anything. Right now, the next point of the about all these items is, let's say for example, on the issue of valves and everything, right? You can even create your own custom statuses, right? So you have things like review, accepted, cancelled, completed, migration, right? If you're an oil and gas engineer and you work with valves, you can even set your own status, open or close valve, and you can control whether the open valve is to be set to green in color, or you can set that the valve that's closed to even set it to red in color, right? You can set all these things. Okay, so this is really according to how your company processes flow. You can customize. Alright, now that being said, now this markups list over here, you can arrange it in any way that you want. I can arrange it by author, so I know who is saying what at when, right? And I have even items that show me the timestamp. Right, I know when someone has placed in a particular item. I see the comments here, right? I can even reply, right? And I can set statuses here as mentioned, right? I can also have a legend table which shows me the overall view of the items over here, right, in real time, right? So now at the end of the day, right, you can export all these items into something that is called a PDF summary report. Okay, now so the PDF summary report is a very powerful tool. Why? Because the first things first is that it remains as a PDF. So that means this report, whoever you send to, they can open it. Okay, whether they have Bluebeam or not, they can open the file. Alright, the other thing they can do is that they can make use of a feature called hyperlinking. Okay, so how hyperlinking works, I'll show you now, is that when you send out the report, so let's say for example I send out this, right? So if you take a look at my item here, it is actually a bunch of pages here, right, showing the report. Okay, the person will receive it, they can take a look. Now when the person takes a look at it and he says, hey, I want to take a closer look at this item, he can click on it and it jumps back directly to the source page itself. This is called hyperlinking, right? So this becomes very useful, especially when you have a very complicated piece of drawing that you need to send out, right? There's so many markups, right? When someone goes through the report, they can see each markup on its own, and if he really wants to drill down into the exact location, they can just tap on it and it will hyperlink over to the source page, and they can take a look from overall point of view, right? So many advantages there. Now, so at this stage, some of you may ask me, hey, where did my photos go? Right, the photos are all here, placed here. Right at the end, right, it's called a capture summary. Right, so you can see very clearly, I have the item here. It is tagged to the location. Right, I have the comments if I have added any comments, and I have the pictures here attached as well. Right, so this really even helps you settle one of the most painful processes, right? Whether if you are a project manager who is doing a progress claim, a site walk, right? You take photos, right? After you finish taking the photos, you don't even need to arrange the photos. You don't need to categorize the photos, because all these photos are already tagged to that particular room, to that particular markup where it is, right? I do not have to spend time wondering whether these 5 pictures belong to the room on the first story, belong to the room on the second story, or whatsoever, right? So it really saves a lot of time. The same goes whether you are doing checks for defects, right? Now, so I have very briefly shared on the two very key features, alright, which is your tool chest, which can be exported, and your markups list. Alright, something that complements these two features very well is studio sessions and studio projects. Right over here, Right, for more information on Studio, right, you can refer to the description links below. I have done 2 separate videos on Studio projects and Studio sessions, right? So the difference with having Bluebeam Studio into the picture is that you are able to bring all these features that I've just mentioned into a real-time collaboration system where you can have up to 500 attendees marking up, commenting on multiple PDFs at the same time, right? And you have all your other permissioning to set your drawing permission, drawing standards. Yes, all those things are all covered in the videos in the description box. Right, so I hope today's video has helped you guys out. Right, feel free to reach out. My contact details are shown below in the description box. Right, I will see you again next time. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. I hope the video has helped you out in your usage of Bluebeam. Right, so if there are any questions that you may have, feel free to reach out to me. My contact details are as shown in the slide. Right, do leave us a thumbs up, like, and even subscribe right to my channel so that you can receive notifications whenever we have new tutorials for our softwares coming up. Right, thank you. Take care.